this is the second time we've had this headline title here. Dominic, the third, whatever you want to call it, the third leg of this
Yeah, the
Mexican MMA
parlay.
takeover
Yeah,
parlay
yeah,
has
yeah,
hit. Some may say the biggest underdog to do it of all of them.
yeah.
Um, it's still unclear if Aldana's actually going to be fighting Amanda Nunes. So
Right.
even if she doesn't, Dominic,
I feel
we
like
have
now you
three.
got to though.
But
But
now
yeah,
you have three Mexican champions, and
yeah,
yes, we're counting Yair with that interim title. He's going to
yeah,
be the next guy to fight Alexander Volkanovski, and I cannot wait
yeah,
to see that fight.
yeah.
But Alexa Grasso,
I'm
round
getting chills.
4 minutes 34 seconds, submits, finishes Valentina Shevchenko. Give it a second.
Mhm. Okay.
What a crazy year and some change it's been for dominant champions. I mean,
No
God
kidding.
forbid being a dominant champion in 2022, 2023.
Yeah, yeah. In the end of
I mean,
2021,
yeah, I mean
you
that's
brought
got to
that
be
up
just
last night.
yeah, that's got to be just terrifying. I mean,
Yeah,
Alexander Volkanovski's got to be shitting his britches right now. That
yeah, yeah.
what's going to happen? But um, Dominic, I mean, I want to kind of give you a question here to kind of start us off.
What do you even ask?
What do I ask?
I'll tell
Alexa
you this:
Grasso. Go ahead. Yeah.
how fucking good did Alexa Grasso look in that fight last night?
She
That's
looked
my
incredible.
question to
She
you.
looked incredible, and she wasn't even winning the fight.
Yeah.
She finished an exceptional Valentina Shevchenko here.
Yes. Yes,
I
she
thought
did.
Valentina Shevchenko looked much better than she did against Tyler Santos.
Yep.
I thought she looked better than she had in certainly some of her other defenses.
I think better than the Maya fight she looked last night.
Yeah, no, 100%. Alexa Grasso, the thing is, yes, she got the submission win, Dom. But if you actually watch the fight, you'll see Alexa Grasso outstruck
Yes.
Valentina Shevchenko
Yes. Valentina won 2 rounds due to top control,
due to top
not the
control, was able
striking.
to get takedowns at will
Yeah.
and had the strength advantage in here.
Yeah.
But Alexa had more pop on her punches.
Hmm.
I don't know what the stats would say, but she felt more accurate on her
Yep.
punches. She was
Yeah, for
more
sure.
active in terms of she was
Yep.
throwing more. So
Yep.
even if her accuracy was lower, she was constantly throwing something, whether it was a feint or something that she kind of wasn't going to hit, but she was just
Hmm.
kept throwing.
Hmm.
Didn't tire out. She needed an opening, and Valentina, a fighter who has so rarely made a mistake, throws that spinning attack, misses, leaves her back open, and within a split second, Grasso pounces on her back and
Right
is able
into
to
it.
choke her out
Yeah.
with less than 30 seconds left in the round. Dominic, like I'm still like kind of overcome by this, and I'll tell you guys why. The bet slip may not show it because,
Unfortunately.
but round two comes and Alexa Grasso just won the round, and it was probably a couple minutes in the round two to be fair. And Valentina looked like she was kind of controlling the second round, looking pretty good. Might have even had the takedown at that point. And the live odds pop up, and we were even like debating what the live odds might be, and they just
Hmm.
so happened to pop up, and we were all saying like plus 200,
Right.
250, 300, plus 650
Yeah. More than going into the fight. It
for
was plus
someone who
550.
just won the only round of the fight so far.
Yeah.
And I understand the respect for Valentina is deserved and earned, but I saw that and I was like, I got to pounce on this. Like,
Impulse betting 101.
impulse betting 101, and I threw the $25 on it, and when she got that choke in, I was screaming
Yeah. Yeah.
my ass off. I felt bad for our buddy JP who had a parlay with Valentina in it.
Yeah.
Man said at the end of the night, I didn't hit a single bet today. So
Yeah.
I felt sorry for him, and I hate to do that because Dominic has certainly done that to me before, where he dances on the grave, and and it never makes me feel good. So I do kind of
Yeah.
I felt bad, but what a moment that was in
Mm.
MMA history for her to get that finish. We talked about it going in, Dom, that I think we were giving Alexa more credit than the majority of people in this space.
I think
You
so.
know, we thought she was above in terms of a challenge for Valentina. She was a more credible challenger than many of the
Mhm.
girls that Valentina had beaten or run through, or even
Right.
like in Jennifer Maya's case, won, but like you said, maybe not her best performance.
Yeah.
And I think you even said you'd be more surprised if like Jeff Neal beat Shavkat
I
than
did say that last
with
night. Yeah.
Alexa Grasso beating Valentina. All this ends up looking pretty
Yeah.
good in hindsight because Alexa Grasso gets that win. I guess my question for you to start things off, even though we kind of hinted at, like I even made the bold claim that I thought Valentina would lose her title this year.
Mm.
I was thinking more Aaron Blanchfield, Tyler Santos, but
You're right. Right.
hey, I never said that. I just
Yeah.
said I
Yeah.
thought she'd lose, so I
Yeah.
counted it as a win. Um, how surprised are you in the way that this happened? You weren't necessarily that shocked. Isn't maybe the word to describe her winning, but how shocking was it for her to get the finish, to get the submission, the way it all kind of came together? Less than 30 seconds left in a round when she's down on the cards.
Okay. Let me talk this through here. So, in the moment, I was shocked in the way in which she did it. Hindsight, I wish I wouldn't have been as shocked because we saw these capabilities of Alexa. I just wanted to not say Alexa because of last night watching the fights. Anyways, we'll hint that later maybe. But um anyways, her fight with Joanne Wood, she showed the ground skills, the submission capabilities. And then she had a stand up fight with Viviani. I'm pretty sure it was pretty much stand up the whole 25 minutes when she won that fight. But then, she wins last night by sub. Pair that with, I don't know if you caught this. She said that they practiced exactly that finishing sequence last night. Valentina throws a spinning attack. She evades, goes straight for the back. She said they had been practicing that because they knew Valentina's prone to throw a spin every now and again, whether it's a kick
Mm-hmm.
or a spinning back fist. She does it. And honestly, Valentina lands them at a pretty large clip for the most part, too. So the fact that Alexa was able to see that coming, evade it, and instantly pounce on the back before Valentina could finish turning back to face her. And then let us not, let this shy away either. This choke wasn't under the neck. This was a face crank. Did you see the pictures? The
Yeah,
red,
yeah,
and then
yeah. The
there's a
sunburn.
huge, it looked like a sunburn on
Hey, that's a
Valentina's like jaw.
great observation by Joe Rogan. I know nowadays a lot of people like to throw shit at Joe Rogan.
Mm.
Keen observation by him on the broadcast to bring that up.
Yeah. And I think it just shows the strength that Alexa has, the skill that she has to be able to get her hands in the proper position to squeeze that way to make Valentina, she didn't put her to sleep. She made Valentina tap. No, it's
Yeah.
one thing if you're making a dominant champion tap, and that's what she did, man. It was an emotional moment to see her win that fight because she came into the UFC with a lot of hype. She faltered a little bit, wins, losses, back and forth at 115. Now she's 5-0 at 125. She's just now entering her prime. She's the sweetest thing, well spoken, from Mexico, the first Mexican born female champion. 3 Mexican champions in the first 3 months of the year, one in each month. This is absolutely historical. This is probably going to end up being the most historical year for any single country in UFC history. What's happening in 2023 right now, and it's only March. It's an amazing story. It really is.
And that's kind of amazing because Mexico has, through combat sports, for as long as combat sports have been around, has been such a heavy boxing
Yep.
country. You look at some of the all-time boxers, a lot of them come from Mexico, even like Canelo Alvarez right now, from Mexico. MMA has not had a ton of top-tier Mexican MMA talent. Cain Velasquez was sort of being,
He was like the first one.
he was kind of being paraded like
Yeah.
the representative of that country, but I don't even think he was Mexican born, right? He
I
was
think he was
born
born in
in
the US. Yeah.
not that like takes away from it, but I'm
Right.
just
Right.
saying that like I'm not, and it ended up not working out like they did the Mexico City fight with him and
Yeah.
Fabricio, and Cain Velasquez, as great as he was, they never were quite able to capitalize enough
Right.
on
Right.
putting him in that position to kind of carry that country into and bringing them into MMA. It didn't last long enough as him as champion to do that.
Yeah.
So it was sort of out of nowhere that these first 3 months have happened. Now we were, um, you know, we might get some flack for being just two guys talking MMA, but and not to give us a pat on the back because we've been wrong about so much shit. But Dominic, we were talking about this being that year for Mexican MMA. And I don't think a lot of people were really aware of that at the
Yeah.
time about the what this could turn into. And
Yeah.
even when we talked about it, I really didn't believe that like we would see all three of these Mexican
Boom. Boom.
fighters
Boom.
hold
Yeah.
titles. Obviously, Alexa was the biggest underdog, but the chances of all three of these
Yeah.
fighters hitting was just in my head unlikely. But it was a storyline and one that I thought should be discussed.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's happened, and it's kind of come out of nowhere. The focus of the sport, when you look at the upcoming talent and the guys at the top, Dagestan, Russia, like they get so
Yeah.
much attention, and rightfully so. They ain't going anywhere. But
Right.
this is like come out of nowhere. Like, yes, Brandon Moreno has been a champion before. Yair Rodriguez has been a top contender for a long time. Alexa Grasso was looked at as a very hyped prospect from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
But for them to culminate all at the same
At the
time to
yeah.
the pinnacle of the sport, and not just at the same time, Dominic, back to back to back months.
3 straight pay-per-views. Yeah.
We're already saying 2023 is the year of Mexico for MMA, and we're
It's
not
over.
even in April.
It's solidified. Yeah.
We're only 5 days into March. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
so it's unprecedented. I'm not
Yeah.
sure if it'll ever be
Mm.
duplicated in our lifetime.
Mm.
Well, that might be a bit dramatic, but you get my point.
I
Like,
get your
this
point.
is
Yeah.
it's special. It's
Yeah.
very special, especially when you consider how this country has not produced top tier MMA talent because most fighters in that country so often go to boxing.
Right. And now you look at it, these 3 are leading that charge for the young generation. A
Mm-hmm.
performance institute is being built in Mexico as we speak. It might even be finished, but if not, it's going to be finished this year. The market's always been there. The UFC and Dana have always wanted to hit it.
Mm-hmm.
Now they've got 3 champions, a fourth potentially at the end of the year, or someone who at least is challenging for a belt by the end of the year. That's big. Like, there's not really any other countries that have ever like had this much momentum, especially seemingly like that at the strike of a
You
match.
did see it a little bit a couple years, or yeah, I guess in 2021 once Ngannou won the heavyweight title, and you had Usman,
Africa. Yeah.
Adesanya, and
Yep.
Ngannou for Africa, and they're also planning to
Yes.
build a PI in Africa.
Very true.
Actually, Mexico is now being the first PI being built over Africa, so that shows
Mhm.
you like they're really trying to
Yep.
go all in on that country. And that's a good thing to bring up, Dom, about just talking about what the UFC is trying to do to bring in that market. We have a pay-per-view on May 6th, UFC 288 in Newark, New Jersey.
Random, by the way, kind of, but
I mean, not that random. I mean, come on,
I
Dom.
prefer Midwest, but it's fine.
Yeah, I know.
Selfishly.
Dom's like, oh, that's not random. Dom's like, that's random. They should put it in Ohio. That would be a little less random.
Yeah.
But what I think's interesting is Dana's not shying away about. They said it again. They were talking about. So I don't know where it kind of started, but it had been hit. He had been talking about like potentially doing a, well, what was it called? Some sort of Mexican like
Like a Cinco de
appreciation,
Mayo
Cinco
weekend.
de Mayo weekend type deal.
Yeah.
Well, that pay per view is that weekend, and it's that Saturday.
Yeah.
Well, Canelo Alvarez is boxing the same day, May 6th. And at the time, a lot of people and I think Dana and the boys just kind of assumed he'd do it in Las Vegas, and we're holding that date open because Dana has a lot of respect for Eddie
Mm-hmm.
Hearn and blah, blah, blah. That's what he was saying in the post-fight presser. Well, then they say they're actually going to have Canelo fight in Mexico. So Vegas is open.
Yeah.
So Dominic, they were asking, well, is this pay-per-view potentially being moved to Vegas to do that? And he said no, but that they're still looking into potentially doing this.
Something.
So are we potentially looking at like a back-to-back fight weekend And then they even asked Alexa Grasso, and she thought it'd be a great idea for her and Valentina to run it back
In 2
on
months.
that card.
Okay.
Um, I'm not saying it's likely,
Yeah.
but I'm just saying if you're going to go all out and have this entire weekend built around Cinco de Mayo, and if I'm assuming you would plan to have a fight card to go along with it in Vegas, and it's the night before another big pay per view that's going to have the bantamweight title defended,
Yeah.
you're probably going to put some pretty good talent on that card. I would say.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, is that too crazy, Dom, to be thinking like we could be getting? I'm not saying a pay per view caliber card on Friday and Saturday, but I'm saying, what if Friday you're
Get a little
looking
fight
at
night action.
some fight night, but maybe even with a title at the top, like you would see with Mighty Mouse and stuff back in the day.
Yeah. Man, I'll tell you what. If because we've talked about the back-to-back thing recently, if we hit on that too, we're on fire right now with the Joes in 2023. But seriously, maybe. I mean, we're here for it. I think the most realistic person from Mexico you can get on that card as a big name is Brandon. He fought in January. It's realistic for him to fight in May. Opponent wise, well, I guess
Pantoja,
Pantoja. Yeah, of course. Pantoja's there. So,
perfect.
yeah,
Put them in, coach.
there it is. Vegas, Friday the 5th, Cinco de Mayo celebration. Stack it with Mexican fighters. The next day, Newark, New Jersey, UFC 288. Triple C's back. And now that I'm thinking about it, Newark, New Jersey, Aljo and the boys, they train out of that area, Sarah Longo
Mm,
gym. So,
mm.
okay, I'll take
Yeah,
back my little hate for it there. Yeah, I'll take it
apologize to
back.
Newark.
I'll take it back. But still, Midwest anywhere soon. Just saying, Dana and the boys. But hey, I'm here for a back-to-back weekend. That'd be quite cool. That'd be something
Yeah,
that the UFC's never really done for the most part, outside of like an Ultimate Fighter finale and then a something
yeah.
on a Saturday. But yeah,
But he didn't shy away from it at the post-fight presser. He didn't clarify and say, "Oh no, this." No, he said like, "We're still looking into it. Like maybe."
but I'll say this, Noah, that'd be cool and all, but 3 Mexican championship fights in Mexico would be a hell of a lot cooler to me.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a
Mm.
bad idea.
Yeah, that would be insane. Insane.
Jesus, what a card that would be.
Mm,
I
mm,
don't
mm.
know that. I don't know if they'll emphasize it to the point where those 3 title fight cards feels like a bit of like a big Vegas event or a big New York Madison Square Garden type event. Do you do that for Mexico? Like maybe.
Dude,
I don't know. Like what
they've
kind of
earned it.
arena, what kind of capacity, like,
Yeah,
that probably
yeah,
plays a factor, I'm sure, in these
yeah.
decisions. Because you know what's gonna be the most comfortable idea to do it. You do it either like an end of the year type show. Like that's the thing. If they want to do this like Mexican or Cinco de Mayo weekend, that's great. But what if like, instead of doing like a Cinco de Mayo, I know it makes sense because of the holiday,
Mm-hmm.
but if you wanted to do like a, Mexican heritage like weekend or something,
Mhm.
but you did it like
Mhm.
the last weekend of the year and you do an end of the year card in Vegas and you have those 3 champions on the card.
Woo.
I mean, that's expecting them to hold the titles until then, but I'm just saying like the end of the year show, these are the kind of shows that get those real stacked 3 title
Yeah,
fight cards. So,
you're right.
who knows if anything will come out of that whole Cinco de Mayo weekend, but it's very weird and interesting that they're not backing away from it when they literally have a pay per view Saturday in Newark, New Jersey, which Dominic apparently can't stand. But
Right.
let's talk about Valentina Shevchenko for a second, and we'll kind of bring it back around to what will likely be the next title fight, which is these two again.
Yep.
Valentina Shevchenko loses her title after was this her attempt at a title defense number
This
8?
this would have been number 8. Yeah.
So she had 7 title defenses, one of the best women's fighters in MMA history. I
Yeah.
would argue she's at worst second.
I would say second at worst. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to believe Nunes should be put above her just because she beat her twice, but I understand there's some controversy with that second fight, especially. But neither here nor there. One of the best fighters of all time, women's fighters of all time, which is a rare thing to happen in this sport. Except, well, we've kind of gotten it more often in the last year and some change than
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
normally do. Let's kind of compare this scenario, the fight we saw, to some of those other ones. Juliana Pena defeating Amanda Nunes,
Mm-hmm.
You saw when Usman got head kick KO'd by Leon Edwards, and then Alex Pereira knocking out his former kickboxing foe Israel Adesanya. When you look at it, and I'm pretty sure, obviously Pena and Nunes already had their second fight, and Nunes dominated, took her belt back. Actually, I'm not going to compare it to those others. I actually want to stick on the Pena Nunes thing for a second. The idea of this fight being run back, no matter when it is, no matter if it's 2 months from now or 6 months from now or whatever, as you sit here today, this is way too early to even be thinking about it, but just work with me here. Do you think that a second matchup between these two would be closer in how it would look to the Rose Joanna rematch or the Nunes Pena rematch? And do you get the differences there? Rose
Mm-hmm.
gets
I
the
had to think
finish
for
in
a
the first
second.
fight.
Yeah.
Second fight, she comes out and beats her over 5 rounds, kind of proves she's the better fighter.
Yeah.
Pena surprises Nunes, gets that finish. Nunes comes back and dominates. Like what do you think is the more likely scenario of the two right now?
The former, Rose versus Joanna, too, for sure.
Mm.
Because, and I'm trying to think a little bit more of that first Juliana and Amanda fight. But Pena kind of bull rushed out of nowhere, right? She wasn't really having much
So
success.
so the way it kind of went was round one, Amanda won by getting the fight to the ground,
Yeah.
controlling, landing some decent ground and pound. That was pretty much it. She looked good. Round two, she looked extremely gassed, and it's like, whoa,
Right,
what's
right,
going
right.
on here? Well, Pena, not with the most technical of strikes, but was like starting to land these big shots and kind of
Capitalized.
and basically Nunes looked so exhausted that when
Yeah.
that fight got down, Pena was able to get her in a submission and submit her. So you see, that was probably Nunes's worst performance we'd seen her in a
Yeah.
long time, at
Yeah.
least. And yeah, so that's how that fight went the first time.
See, it's so much different from how this fight was going because
Right.
again, I know it was 2-1 Valentina, in probably going to be 3-1, but
You think so? Like,
I
well,
I think
consider like what if she
Valentina was
did? What
winning the fourth.
I mean, I don't know. I
Oh,
I
you
guess
mean
she
if
might have
it
been.
finished with her in the
Yeah,
choke still?
yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I guess I wasn't thinking about that.
You're
Yeah.
probably right though. Before that, I don't really remember. Now it's all blur.
But maybe
But before
Alexa
that,
did.
yeah,
Maybe it ties though,
you might have been
2-2.
right. You might have been right though. If she doesn't get that back, that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Valentina may be
Uh,
up 3-1.
but regardless of a 3-1 scorecard, it was not a dominant 3-1. Like, yeah, Valentina won 2 rounds with ground control, but even I think in both rounds, like Alexa was able to get back up a couple of times. Like and Valentina wasn't doing a lot of damage on the ground either. She was kind of just content. Alexa was in bad positions, got out of them, was able to work her way into better positions from the bottom. It was not dominant for Valentina. Like she looked great, Valentina, but it wasn't dominant. Is that fair to say? I mean, can I say that in the same sentence?
Mm-hmm.
So Alexa, in on the feet, was winning the fight, which I think is a huge, huge thing to have to go into a rematch when that is Valentina's primary strength. And now you look at Valentina going into a rematch and thinking, oh shit, Alexa's just submitted me on the ground, albeit she had my back and, whatever the case. But I think a rematch is very close. I think going into a rematch, odds should be no bigger than Valentina minus 200. And that's me being generous, to be quite honest with you. And I am going to go out on a limb and say Alexa wins a rematch too while I'm at it. Might as
Okay.
well.
You took that a step further. I love it. I love
Yeah.
it. Um, I tend to agree with you in the sense of I think it's closer to a Rose Joanna second fight than Pena Nunes second fight. Nothing in this fight should tell you, because you have to take it on a fight by fight basis, right? Like there was enough of an anomaly in the Pena Nunes fight to be weary of the idea that Pena could do it a second time.
Yeah.
Because that's how I felt after that fight. I mean, I remember coming on here and just saying, like, look, Pena won the title. It was an amazing upset. I also can't sit here and say that I feel like that was like a title winning performance. I felt like Nunes lost more than
Right.
Pena won, kind of thing. In this case, I don't think that at all. Grasso was in there every step of the way.
Yeah.
Scorecards might have been getting away from her, and that is going to be a thing. And when they run it back, Valentina pretty much landed takedowns at will here.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Very rarely did she whiff on a takedown. And what I thought she did a very good job of, Dom, is she knew when to go for the takedowns
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
she didn't take down Grasso, and Grasso would be like right against the fence and be able to use it to get back up. She was
Mm-hmm.
taking her down in the middle of the octagon where
Yeah. Yeah.
you really have to depend on your technique and form to get you up. So it would not shock me at all if Valentina wins her title back in a second fight. And I know it wouldn't surprise you either because you're
Right.
not saying, even though you're saying Grasso you think would win, wouldn't surprise you. And it wouldn't surprise me either. But do I tend to favor Alexa in a second fight? I think I do. I think I do. And I think it all
Yeah.
kind of comes down to who do I think can improve more in the area that they lacked here. That was a
I
word
get
vomit
what you're saying.
before that second fight. Is Alexa Grasso going to be able to work enough on the takedown defense to where she can stay on her feet? Or is Valentina going to be more active in the striking or
Right.
throw with more power or whatever it might be? Valentina's an electric striker, very good striker, very technical.
Yeah.
But Grasso was better there the whole
Yes.
fight. And I just don't see where Valentina gets that much better
Right.
in
Then
that
she already
area for
is. Yeah.
she's fought with that style. That's what got her to the title. That's what won
Yep.
her all these championships and these defenses. She's not all of a sudden just going to change who she is
Yep.
on that.
Yep.
And you don't have to be confident that Alexa can stop the takedowns either. I'm just saying I would expect her to come in here thinking, look,
Okay,
I
I need to
outstruck
prep
her
more for
last
this.
time. I
Right.
need to be more prepared. That's where she
Yep.
thinks she's going to win this fight.
Yep.
So every fight starts on the feet. That's kind of a cliche to say, but it's a little bit true. So
Yeah.
that's sort of how I break down a second fight. I think in a lot of ways it goes somewhat similar to this one. I'm not saying there'd be a finish like we saw, but I expect a close technical fight where both ladies have to use every bit of their skill in
Yep.
every area
Mm-hmm.
to get the edge on those scorecards.
100%.
And I think that's going to make an amazing just intrigue for that second fight. It's a shame for Shevchenko to lose her title like this because, Dana said afterwards that he thinks the idea of doing Shevchenko Nunes 3 is pretty much done now.
It
I
should have
know
been a
me and
long
you were
time
not,
ago.
well,
Yeah.
I know how me and you were
Yeah.
not like
Yeah.
as impressed by the idea of that fight as some.
Yeah.
But I also think this hurts the chances of her ever fighting like a Zhang Wei Li.
Yeah, I would say
I mean, if
probably.
she gets her title back, maybe you're talking about it again. But
It doesn't
it
feel as big though,
doesn't feel as
kind of.
big, And I mean, Amanda Nunes was in a similar position as Shevchenko is now. So in a way, I could still see that third fight eventually being run if she got the title back. But Dominic, if she loses again, I could see her going back up to bantamweight. She talked about that, but she did say the only way she'd go back up is for the title fight. So, I don't know. But
Yeah.
I don't know how many fights we have left with Valentina if she loses her next fight. And
And the same can be said for Amanda too, just as well, because we
yeah,
don't know how much
so
is left for Amanda. But yeah, I look forward to it. I think it's an awesome rivalry. I think it's an awesome potential rematch. And I think it's awesome to have a potential even trilogy if Valentina were to get the belt
yeah.
back. So this is an
And
amazing
let
story.
me put one thing real quick that
Hmm.
just kind of popped in my head to say. Regardless if Valentina gets her title back, if she does it in spectacular fashion, she may be a champion for another couple years. But her days of being dominant, I think, are done.
Yeah. And I think that's credit to the division
No,
as
I
well.
don't think
That's
she's
what it is.
actually. I think this
Right.
performance showed because I was wondering. I
Yeah.
brought up after the Santos fight, has she maybe lost a step?
Right.
I don't
Right.
think she lost a step. I
She
think
looked like
the
old Valentina.
competition
Yep.
has rose to the occasion.
For
And it's
sure.
Grasso for sure right now. But don't think that some of these other ladies in the division are not going to give her troubles or even Grasso troubles or each other troubles. Aaron Blanchfield's the one I've been talking about, but Taylor Santos is still right there. I mean, we thought Taylor Santos won the fight in the first place against Valentina. So
Yeah.
And then you still got girls like Casey O'Neill, Macy Barber, potentially, Manon Fior, like all
Yeah.
these. There's a lot that there could be a lot of hot potato going on with this title, but I think it's a good place for the division to be in. I like the
Mm,
parity.
yes.
Valentina is an exceptional champion. She was an exceptional champion. She's still an exceptional fighter. But now that she's chasing the belt again, I think things feel this is what the division kind of needed for I think everybody else who was still looking at this division as one of the weak links of women's MMA
Wake
to
up.
come around to the idea of wait a minute, there's a lot more talent in this division than there was when they introduced it. It's finally at a healthy point where we have multiple contenders that can potentially win a title depending on the matchup, depending on the night.
Yeah, and I just want to actually bring up a topic to kind of finish from a couple weeks ago because now we can discuss it again a little bit further. We said if Valentina wins, Blanchfield's got next. If Alexa wins, it throws a wrench in Blanchfield's future. Well,
Mm.
Alexa Grasso just won. Do we get Santos Blanchfield in the meantime, new number one contender fight? And we get to see that fight, which was originally planned, because I would say yes.
I will say yes because I know Blanchfield said she wanted the title next. She called for the title next. But when asked if she would take another fight, she said, if that's what they want, then I would take another fight.
And it's like,
So if she's not going to hold out for it,
yeah,
then
right, right.
I don't think they're going to like wait, and it may, but Dom, if for some reason they run this back, Cinco de Mayo and,
Yeah, yeah, in 2 months, then she
this
can.
crazy idea that I'm talking about, if that were to happen,
Yeah,
then maybe
you
you
wait.
don't.
Yeah.
But I think more than likely we see a 5-round main event, Taylor Santos, Aaron Blanchfield. And I cannot wait to see that if that happens.
I'm here for that. I'm going to go one step further, and this may be a discussion for 2 more weeks. But if Casey O'Neill comes back and beats Jennifer Maia, let's go ahead and do a main event. Also, Casey O'Neill versus Manon Fior as well. We'll get them all going, baby.
Yeah, there you go. How long's Manon out for? 'Cause she's still injured, right?
Yeah, you got to figure by the time Casey fights in 2 weeks and is ready to fight again later in the year, hopefully Manon would be ready.
Because it
Then you
wasn't
got
like
all
an
the
injury.
futures.
It wasn't like a torn ACL or anything that's got her out,
I
right?
don't think it was anything too bad, just something enough to not allow her to get this shot before
Mm.
Alexa, I think. So,
But yeah, good shout there with Casey O'Neill. We'll be talking about her pretty soon.